This short video is a brief introduction to StoryFest. It's our hope that individually and in groups, people will gain a fresh and delightful new insight into the power of these Bible stories. We've set it up so that groups without a budget can use them. They're free, and you don't need trained leadership to use them in small groups. So they're open to everyone. People love stories, and this old Bible is packed with a bunch of them. The best stories ever told, in my opinion. In these StoryFest videos, we get to hear these ancient stories again as if for the first time. Now, a quick word of explanation. These Bible stories speak to our hearts. They enrich the non-rational side of who we are. Now, careful, thoughtful, rational study of the Bible is essential. But first, we learn to simply enjoy the stories and find out how they connect with our lives. The best way is to tell them as they were first told to the early Hebrew and Christian communities. That's orally. These stories were first told by believers who knew the stories by heart. And, when the scribes wrote them down, as they had to, but when they wrote them down, they squeezed out a lot of the juice. So, first of all, allow me to introduce the storytellers. Linnea Good is known far and wide as one of our most creative musicians and songwriters. What many people don't know is that Linnea is also a highly skilled storyteller. She tells Bible stories by carefully studying and learning them by heart. It's similar to the ancient practice of Lectio Divina. Sports broadcasts have color commentators, and StoryFest has Donald Schmidt, who is widely known in the U.S. and Canada as a biblical scholar. Donald highlights a few of the delightful details in each story. He helps them live and connect with our lives. Allison Rennie also learned the scripture stories by heart, and she tells them with obvious delight and vitality. She brings years of experience as a youth worker, along with a deep sensitivity to the life issues of people who have been marginalized by the church and by society. Don McNair is a professional editor, designer, and artist. He's also an active layperson in the church, mostly working with children. Now, as an artist, he reflected deeply on the personalities, and he offered some provocative drawings to show another side to the biblical story. And yes, I'm here having the time of my life, ham actor that I am. I've had a lifetime of media work, radio, TV, film, theater, and would you believe even in the old radio soap operas? Yeah. I've written a pile of books full of stories, most of them. Yeah, lots of stories. The latest one is this gift of story here. It can enrich your use of the StoryFest videos, but it's not essential. Okay, here's how the StoryFest videos work. You can use the 9 episodes in any order you choose, and no 2 follow exactly the same format, but they all have 5 key elements. Each video begins with a telling of the story, not a reading, but a telling of the story from the Bible by Linnea or Allison.
God said, "Who told you you were... Have you been eating of the tree which I commanded you shall not eat?" The man said, "The woman who you gave to be with me, she gave it to me, and I ate."
Donald Schmidt, our biblical scholar, points out some interesting things about the particular story, things that enrich the story for us.
Because we're told that the father, when he spies the son way down the road, runs to him. And the only way you can do that is to hike up your robes to your waist, which is the equivalent in this story of running down Bernard Street here in your underwear.
Don McNair spent hours studying each story and then offering his visual interpretation.
The interesting thing about this process is the things which I am seeing in the story, as well as in the images that I'm working with that I never saw before. The idea of Zacchaeus being in the midst of a crowd who despises him.
One of the best ways to get inside a Bible story is to tell a similar story from your own experience. Now, 4 of us formed a readers' theater group, and we presented some of the stories that Donald Schmidt and I have published in our various books. You can download free copies of those stories at the Woodlake Publications website, and here's the address. Sarah was listening just inside the tent. She could hardly believe what she was hearing. I mean, Sarah and Abraham were old, way up in their 90s. Sarah had been through menopause years ago.
What? I'm an old crock, and Abe's an old fart. And we're going to have a baby. It's so ridiculous. It has to be true.
And maybe most importantly, we make connections with our own lives. Where does the story in the Bible connect with the story of my life?
So in I came now, this 1 week later, and there was my daughter holding the baby, my baby, holding her baby so tenderly. And I'll never forget it.
The StoryFest videos offer a very different way of encountering the Bible, but also a very old way. And the videos are free. They are there on YouTube, so you can look at them anytime that's convenient for you. Just go to YouTube and then search on Pacific Mountain StoryFest. StoryFest is one word. And I hope you'll give them a try.
Your story makes a home within our soul. Your story makes a home within our soul.